Welcome to the Align and Inspire podcast. I'm your host, Laura Monique, teacher and curriculum writer turned program mentor and business strategist for coaches, educators, and mentors, and creator of signature program design. I've helped dozens of established coaches like you create their own signature program that creates incredible transformations and consistent growing revenue in their business. Whether you've created a program that felt off in some way, maybe it felt scattered or heavy or just hard to sell, or you know you're delivering results one-on-one and you want to create a more scalable offer, this is the podcast for you. Here you'll find practical strategies, encouragement, and inspiration to create the offer that you will be known for, that feels aligned, and that you are really meant to create to inspire others. Let's dive in. Hello. So in this podcast episode, I want to dive into how streamlining your offer journey can help you make more sales. And I'm going to get into what I mean by offer journey in a second. But this podcast episode is especially going to be for you if you might have some existing offers right now. Maybe you have some one-to-one work that you've done, or maybe you do like one-off one-on-ones in your therapy work, or maybe you have some one-on-one work that you do and some done with you or done for you work that you do for clients. And you might be thinking about creating some sort of scalable offer, like a group program, a signature program, and you're thinking like, how should I fit all of these offers together? If you have ever thought about that, or you're wondering where should my freebie fit in, or how should my one-on-ones work with my group program, this is going to be the episode for you. And maybe you're not in that camp and you do have an existing program and you have some existing offers. This is still going to be really helpful for you because I'm going to show you how it's going to be able to help you make more sales and ultimately make more revenue in your business and really improve the results that you get with your clients too when you have a really strong offer journey. So let's dive into the episode this week. The first thing I want to get into is what I mean by offer journey versus an offer suite. An offer suite is basically all the offers that you create or you provide in your business. For me, an offer journey and an offer suite can definitely like flow one into the other, but not necessarily. And I'm going to get into what I mean by that. To me, an offer journey is like your customer journey. It's really creating intentional offers that bring people along the journey to work ultimately maybe with your closer one-on-one or group signature offer. So to me, the big difference between an offer suite and an offer journey is an offer journey is very intentional that brings people through, like it flows people through, versus an offer suite can feel like these are just the different products that I offer. So I wanted to give you some examples of what that looks like. So when I was creating, and I still sell them, but when I was creating curriculum for teachers, I had a digital, or I still have a digital storefront, and I had all these different products that people could buy, different lesson plans, different curriculum, different unit plans, things like that for the whole year, different things that people could just buy. And so I had an offer. That was my offer suite, right? But things really changed for me in that business when I started to create a more intentional offer journey. So when I could have offers that flowed into one another, I started to make a lot more money. So it really was, instead of saying like, I would have products and I was like, oh, if you're interested in this, you might be interested in this. And it was kind of like people could just buy what would work for them, right? Which was an offer suite, which did work well for me. But an offer journey really made it so much stronger. So what it was is I had this intentional path for people to follow, that they started with one product and then they could buy the next one and the next one and the next one. And I kind of built it, not probably super intentionally, but I realized it worked over time and then I honed in on it. But I would have like a few lower ticket products that were like $20 or under for that niche. I had a few low ticket products, and then people kind of got to know me and realized that my products were quality, that they could use them well in their classrooms. And so they started to trust me. And then they saw that I had this much bigger bundle offer that I called my toolkit. And it was basically a toolkit of all the essential resources that you could use as a French immersion teacher for grades 7 through 9. Super, super, super niche, very specific, right? And so if you are a grade 7 teacher and you've never taught that subject before and you've tried out one of my tool sources and you've got no resources, that toolkit is going to really appeal to you. And it's way more than the average price of a product for curriculum for teachers. It was more like, I want to say like $200, which was a bigger price point than, $20. But that adding that bundle alone with products that I already had, but making it more intentional, making it into this offer journey where there was a smaller offer that led to a bigger offer. And I'm going to share some examples of what that's going to look like in our coaching industry in a second. When I had smaller offers that led to that bigger offer, I had my first 10K month with really low ticket products, reasonably small audience, and like a low ticket digital passive income product, right? So that's when I really thought, oh my gosh, like you can really, like when you do this intentionally, it can really make a big difference for you in your business. I had my first 10K month and it was passive income, which is not maybe the business model I have now. I still have passive income from it, but it was like, wow, like I'm really onto something with it. So that was the first thing that I realized. And then it kind of evolved is people would buy smaller products from me and then they would buy my toolkit. And then a number of those people who bought my toolkit were still like qualified or a good fit for my mentoring program. So they would end up buying my mentoring program, and my mentoring program, though I wouldn't recommend it, did increase to about $1,000 by the end of the time I was running it. Had I had my time over again, I think I would have stuck to a lower ticket for that offer to market match. But it was $1,000 and people still spent $1,000 to work with me and to really like learn from me in a mentoring capacity. But that's because they had built trust with me with those lower ticket and then higher, and then the highest ticket kind of with me over time. So it really increased the trust that they had with me, and it really fueled the sales of my mentoring program. So that's what I mean by an offer journey. It's not just like an offer suite where you have all these different products. And that's what I see is kind of like, well, I'm going to get to that in a second, what horizontal offer suite might be. But to me, that's when it's like when they can really intentionally build upon one another and create this offer journey, like a customer journey, but you have purposeful smaller tickets that lead people on that journey with you. The thing that's so powerful about it is it increases your lifetime customer value, So if a teacher bought from me and spent $17 in my shop, cool. But if she spent $17 and then $10 and $7 and then bought my bundle for $200 and then later bought my mentoring program for $1,000 and then renewed with me and then spent a few $100s more with me from there, instead of having a $17 sale, because she's developed trust with me and I'm continuing to solve problems for her and I'm really supporting her in her classroom, I have now increased my lifetime customer value. And instead of spending $17 with me, she spent several hundreds and actually well over $1,000 with me. So it really makes a big difference on the results that you can have in your business. So that's what I want to get into today is how you can start to think about this, because the problem that I see is you might not be selling things for a low ticket like I was then, but people have these different offers and they don't necessarily flow together. And every offer requires marketing and delivery systems. There's effort that goes into each one. And if they don't flow into one another, you're not funneling your energy in a way that's going to be really effective in your business. It's kind of going to feel a bit scattered. So that's why I want to show you today how to think about your offer journey so that you can really create that lifetime customer value and have a journey that people go through. And before we go any further, in the show notes, I'm going to link up a free resource to help you with some questions to help you really to guide you in designing your offer journey. So if you would like a copy of that free guide, it's been very popular so far. You can click in the show notes. I'm going to link it up for you and you can start to map out your offer journey. But before we get into that, let's talk about the difference between a horizontal or vertical offer journey, and then how to start mapping yours out. So a horizontal one for me is the big thing is, again, it's your offer suite can be an offer journey, but it's not necessarily an offer journey. The distinction for me is an offer journey. The offers flow to one another, right? So when I was creating digital products for teachers, I would have like different drama resources, different reading and writing resources, different curriculum for different kind of subjects within French immersion, right? When I made it into an offer journey, you could do it horizontally or vertically. So the first example that I gave you before was vertically. So I had smaller ticket and then medium ticket and then a higher ticket for that niche, right? Offers. Now we can take that and have it horizontally as well. So that looked like, instead of having all these different subjects, I said, okay, I'm going to create a short stories series, and I'm going to create multiple short stories and have all this curriculum that goes around creating these short stories that you can use in your classroom. And I'm going to have multiple of them so they flow into one another. So instead of buying one, people are like, oh, that was great. They'll buy all 4 of them. Does that make sense? So they flowed one into the other. An ascension model or a vertical model is that idea of having a lower ticket, a mid ticket, and then like a high ticket offer that people can ascend up or go vertically up. Does that make sense? So let's think about yours and what would be the most effective or would feel the right thing for your business. So the first thing, there are a couple principles to keep in mind before you start mapping them out. The first is, and you may have heard it before, it's a really important, piece to keep in mind in your marketing. And that is the idea of problem, solution, problem, problem, solution, problem. So to make sure that your offers flow together, the first thing that you want to do is think problem, solution, problem. So your client should have a problem. Your offer creates a solution for it, but then it highlights a new problem. Does that make sense? So for example, recently I did a workshop on how to outline your program. So if you are feeling muddled in the ideas that you have and you're not sure what to put where, and you're starting to get overwhelmed and you feel stuck in creating it, and you're thinking of all these different ideas of like homework and workbooks and different topics and methodologies, and where do you put all this together? A first step that you can take with me is I can help you start to outline your program, not the whole thing, but I can help you outline it. And that's like a first step. So it solves that small problem. At least it starts to solve it. And you have a program outline. But then you have a program outline, and the next problem that's opened up is like, oh, I've got this program outline, but like, how do I go to sell it now? Or how do I go to market it? Or how do I put it into a webinar? Or where do I, there's all these different problems that can open up. And one of my mentors once said, which I found really fascinating, is that when you think about all problems, there's naturally a solution, and then it opens up a new problem. Like say, like when you think about, like, if you're a mom like me, like kids, you really, like, your child can't walk yet. So you're like, it's not a problem, but we're just going to use it for an example. And you want them to learn to walk. And you're like, oh my gosh, it's so fantastic. My baby is starting to walk. It's so exciting. And then the next problem you have, you're like, oh my gosh, yes, my baby's walking, but they're walking wherever they freaking want. And it's all over the place. Now I'm constantly chasing this toddler. So it's like, you solve one problem and then you open up the next, right? Or like, as your kids get older, they become more independent and they don't need you as much. So that's kind of like that problem is solved, but then they're also more independent and now they're kind of doing other things. And you're like, oh my gosh, are they safe out with their friends, right? So it's like problem, solution, problem. It's like naturally occurring in our day-to-day world. And so we want to be intentional about that. When you create your offer suite, you want to think about what is a small problem that I can solve, and that will open up a bigger problem. And the bigger problem is the next offer in my offer journey. Does that make sense? So that's the first concept or principle to keep in mind. The next one to think about is to highlight the gap. Highlight the gap. And this is the piece that I struggled to do at first anytime I was selling things, but it makes such a big difference. And I like it because it's not really pushy. It's not like, buy my thing, buy my thing, buy my thing. It's more about showing you, okay, you've come this far, but this is the challenge that lies ahead. And that's why I've provided X solution. So let's look at that as an example here. So say you work with me and I help you outline your program, and you have a program outline. I can say, great, you've got your program outline. You're good to go. Have at her. Right? And for some people that might be enough. But the problem is some people might have the marketing knowledge and the strategies to launch their program, and they might be good to go, which is awesome. But other clients of mine might say, okay, great, I've got this program outline, and think that they have everything that they need to sell their program. But I know, as someone who's sold many programs, that that's not all you need. You need to have a strong offer. You need to think about all your deliverables. You need to have a sales strategy. You need to have a marketing strategy. There's all these pieces that you need to have. And if I don't highlight that to somebody who's just created their program outline and has never sold or marketed an online program before, and has a business that's entirely like referral based, they don't know what lies, or she, I mean, let's be real, I work with women. She doesn't know what lies next. And if I don't tell her, to me, it's like I'm doing you a disservice. So I can say, hey, here's your program outline. The next thing that you need to think about is you need to have a strong offer and you need to have a way of presenting that offer to the right people. And I can say like, that's what you need next. Does she need to work with me? No. But if I've already built trust with you and I've already solved the first problem for you, the odds of you wanting to continue working with me to solve the next one are higher, right? And so you want to make sure that you highlight the gap, because as the expert in your field, the gap is going to be very obvious to you because you know what your client needs next, but they don't. Not necessarily. That's why they're coming to you, to have their problems solved, right? So make sure that you're actually highlighting that for them so that they know, oh, okay, this is what I can have next, and this could be the next step for me. And that would be really helpful. So I want to continue working with you. Does that make sense? And then the last thing to think about as you're building out your offer journey is how you can incorporate mini result milestones into your offer journey. So if you've been listening to me for a little while, you may have heard me talk about this. Mini result milestones are like the little results along the way that get people to the final transformation. And you might have a signature program that has all your mini result milestones built in, and that's it for you. Or you might think about, okay, I know to get the final transformation working with you. Maybe you're a coach and you have a therapy background and you can do some really deep work with people. And like for them to just work with you for a month one-on-one, that's not necessarily going to really provide a deep transformation that you could really support somebody with. You can think about putting your milestones along the way of your offer journey. To do this, to start thinking about this, and I walk you through this in more detail in the guide that I mentioned earlier that you can download, the links in the show notes. But the thing you want to start thinking about is, what is the biggest problem that the person that I'm going to be working with needs solved? What's the urgent, important problem that they want solved? That's the beginning. And then you want to think about what is the final result they want at the end? What do they need? And then the base level is then you start to think about what are the pieces of knowledge and action steps and beliefs they need to take on in order to get that result. And then we can figure out what the order is, right? Like that's the work that I do a lot in with designing people's programs. And so you can start to go, okay, say I have these 5 main milestones for people. Is there one of those milestones that I could put in a lower ticket product? Does that make sense? So for me, for example, as I'm starting to think about what my lower ticket offers might be leading into signature program design, I'm kind of testing out a few different ones right now. I'm going to start to think about, some clients are going to hear me and they're going to say like, I know I want to create my signature program. I've tried some things before. It didn't really feel right. I felt like I was scrambly, or my program didn't feel as organized as I wanted to. I know I want to create my signature program. I'm in, right? Awesome. But then there might be some people who are like, I'm not really at a point yet to like create a signature program. I just want to create my first group program. So then I can think about, okay, if they want to create their group program, that's kind of where they're at on their journey. How can I help them solve a smaller problem first? So then when they're ready and they realize, okay, I know I'm ready for a signature program, the thing that I can sell over and over again, the product that I can be known for, all that stuff, they can join signature program design, but maybe they need a smaller step with me first. So that's why I thought about, okay, maybe I can help you outline your program. That could be a smaller step with me. Or I can help you launch your beta program, which is something I'm thinking about, teasing. I'm going to be launching eventually, is how to launch your beta program. So if you don't know what I mean by beta, is I always teach, having created enough offers that I didn't test first, some sold really well, some of them didn't, is I always tell you that you want to sell your program before it's fully built, but you still want to have it like well outlined and structured beforehand. It's kind of like a fine balance, right? But you want to have this beta so you can test your offer, test it out with people, see how like you have your outline in mind, but then you start to actually work with people. What do they need? Does it work for them? And then you kind of take that beta that you created once, you start to build out your program, and then you refine it into your signature program, right? So I can say, okay, that's a first step for somebody. I can help you launch your beta. And then once you've launched your beta and you've gotten over all the self-doubt and the fears and things like that, and you've actually put it out there and you've made some sales, you've hit that milestone. Well, the next thing you might go is like, okay, I've created this thing, but like, how do I grow it? How do I make it into my signature? How do I make sure that I get even better results? How can I make it more scalable? How can I work less with it? It can open up a whole set of new problems that you want to solve, which naturally could lead you into signature program design. So to think about how you're mapping out your offer journey think about where someone is at the beginning when they would start to work with you, where they want to be at the end. What are kind of the markers that they need along the way? And could you offer a first milestone in a lower ticket product so then they can eventually join you in your main group program? Or maybe they join your main group program and then they want to start working with you one-on-one. Does that make sense? So let's recap everything that we've talked about so that you can start to think about your offer journey. So the first thing is that we looked at offer suite versus offer journey. An offer suite can be an offer journey, but it isn't necessarily. The thing that makes an offer journey, specifically an offer journey and not an offer suite, is that you want to make sure that your offers flow into one another so that they have this journey that people go on with you. And they're not just kind of random products. So they're offers that flow into one another. When you can do this well, you're going to increase your lifetime customer value. You can have a horizontal offer suite that one kind of is around the same price point, but one flows into the other. Or you can have a vertical one, which is more like an ascension model, which is like a lower ticket, a mid ticket, and a high ticket, which you see a lot in the coaching world. Then to think about mapping out your own offer journey, the main pieces that we looked at were problem, solution, problem, solve a problem, and then it will naturally open up into a new problem, and be intentional about that as you're thinking about mapping out and outlining your whole offer journey. The other thing I didn't mention here is you want to ideally kind of create them together, not randomly create them. Like they need to have like this flow to intentionally build upon one another. The next thing you want to do is highlight the gap. So at the end of every offer that goes into the next one, highlight the gap so that they can see, oh, the next step for me is this. And so I can see that I have this problem now. You're showing me the gap so I can see the next solution is the next offer. Does that make sense? So then you've provided value, the solution. There's a new problem. You highlight that gap between where they are and where they want to be. So then they might join you on your next offer. And then the last piece is to think about your mini result milestones. And then could you break out one of your first or second milestones into your first or second kind of lower ticket if you're doing an ascension model that will bring people into your main signature offer. So I hope this was helpful for you today. If you want to start mapping this out for yourself, check out the free guide that I have linked up in our show notes. And if you've got questions about this, I would love to hear, because I know for some people, it's like a concept that you get right away. And then other times it's like, okay, well, how do I actually put this in practice? If that's you, if you've got questions about anything we've talked about in today's episode, I would love to hear from you. You can send me a message on Instagram, laurenmonique.business. I would love to hear from you. And I will see you on next week's episode. Okay, talk to you soon.